One of the biggest traps I see musicians fall into is thinking they can't start till they have the right gear. I see people all the time think like, oh, I need an 88 key fully weighted keyboard before I can really learn to play. Or people think like, oh, I really need a nice synthesizer. Like guitar players can be really bad about like, oh, I need this amp or this pedal or whatever. Saxophone players are like, oh, once I have this mouthpiece, da 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 da. The truth is, you can get a lot done on really crappy gear. Look, you might realize if you watch my videos regularly, I'm not at home. I'm in the process of moving right now, and the sneezy house I'm moving to has this piano. Look at this thing, at the risk of screwing up my whole setup. Look, it's like open, no pedals. There are like super broken keys, like this F sharp is mega broken. Let's see if I can get back up here. I'm not editing because I don't do that at this point in my life. Oh, I had a nice spot. No more do I have a nice spot, but I can still teach you how to play piano with a cell phone on a stand that's wobbly on an out-of-tune piano. I just want to show you, even on this piano that has sticky keys that ring out, keys that don't even work, bad action, it's kind of hard to play. It's not like I'm shitting on the piano. I love this piano. But the point is that I can play music on a piano like this. Check this out. I'm going to play a little bit of a song. Uh-huh. Just like that, I can make some music, I can have some fun, I can entertain myself, potentially entertain you, the viewer, without a piano that's totally in tune. And I guess a couple lessons I want to get through here. Well, one, like sometimes broken gear can actually be an advantage. There's no sustain pedal on this piano. There's no pedals at all. So I now have to play in a different way. I can't rely on the sustain pedal as a crutch, which I see piano players do a lot, but I have to make sure if I want to hold out a chord, I have to hold it out with all my fingers. If I want to go to the next chord, I have to play in such a way where I play differently because I don't have a sustain pedal. So sometimes gear that has problems with it will force you to play in new ways. Another thing is like I have to get over the fact that it's not in tune. Sometimes I see musicians get really bothered by like an out-of-tune piano or a slightly out-of-tune guitar or whatever. It's like standard tuning is made up. We made it up a couple hundred years ago, and like music can exist in between tunings. Like dissonant notes can have a sound to it that means something. These things are pretty in tune. I know some of these notes, like the wobbliness of these E's, if that bothers you so much you have to turn the video off, maybe you need to open up your conception of what music is. Maybe music that's a little bit out of tune has a value to it that you aren't willing to hear. And an out-of-tune piano can have a beauty to it if you're willing to set aside your preconceived notion that music has to be in tune a certain way. Another like benefit of playing on worst gear, old gear, limited gear is like you have to learn how to make it work for you. So like this piano, there's like that F sharp is sticky. Maybe I want to improvise something. And I want to like experiment with playing that in a way that like instead of saying, ooh, this is a mistake, this is wrong, it's like, no, I'll play something. Try to like use that as a feature instead of a bug. Like, you know, that's not that I'm ever into coding, but that's like a joke in coding, right? Is like, oh, that's not a bug, that's a feature. I watch a lot of YouTube on how people make video games, and so many times like a video game comes out when a bug actually turns into a feature. When somebody codes it in a certain way and then they test it and the character's jump is now crazy. And it's like, wait, that's cool. Let's make a game where your jump is crazy. You know, maybe I want to improvise something with this F sharp. Hollow, you can hear it. I don't think all the strings are being struck quite right. Instead of saying, oh, this piano sucks, I can't play it, it's like, wow, what a cool color on this piano. It's like an old tree that's like 200 years old, and like there's like color to it, there's shape to it. I'm not saying like I don't love playing like a pristine grand piano where it sounds beautiful and it reverberates. Like, I love that. That's awesome too. But I think the main lesson I'm trying to share today is like finding beauty in the sounds you can create with anything, you know? Like that note, these notes ringing out, it's okay. It doesn't have to ruin the piano. And now I think the final thing I'll share in this video is if you're a beginner or an intermediate or even advanced, like whatever level you're at, you could find something to practice on a piano like this. For example, like I just learned about this Russian way of playing scales. Where you play the scale as this 2-note grouping and you change your fingers. So I was doing 2, 3. Then I could do 3, 4. Or 4, 5. And so even right now in real time, I feel my 4, 5 was the weakest of that grouping. So even on this piano with sticky notes, with notes that don't work, with out of tune, I could go and I can work on this. If my phone wasn't recording, I'd pull up my metronome right now and I would take it slow and I would try it. Right now, I've practiced like 45 seconds of this, but I could get lost on that for like 20 minutes or longer. And I could say, wow, these on this piano, those notes actually sound pretty good, and that's a technique of playing those notes that I am less secure on, and I could practice it right now. Last thought, like when I was in college, we had practice rooms. We had practice rooms just for the piano players that had Steinways in them, that were pretty good Steinways, that were fun to practice on. But sometimes, like especially peak practice hours, maybe like middle of the afternoon, all those rooms were taken up. So I had to go to the basement where the general practice rooms were. And in there were crappy, broken, old, donated pianos. Sometimes that's what I had to practice on. For most of my adult life, I've lived in houses without a piano. So I've just practiced on keyboards, sometimes through tiny amps. The point being, if you think you need the perfect conditions to start practicing, like, you're not gonna be able to develop to the level you want to develop at. And like, even if you have a tiny little unweighted 1-octave MIDI controller keyboard, like you can learn a lot from that. So whatever musical instrument you have at your disposal right now, you could work on stuff if you're humble enough to say, I can get value out of this. That's about it. Hopefully this was helpful. Bye.